Hey everyone, I think that I am live. We're still kind of testing out a different way to um, stream our Legal Talk Tuesday. So I hope that you can hear me and see me. It's Laura here, and welcome to August and Legal Talk Tuesday. We've been dealing with, really unprecedented times with the coronavirus pandemic, and it's really put a lot of emotional strain on individuals and couples. I think we are either those people or we know people who are struggling right now. But I'm sure that nobody is thinking about divorce just because of the pandemic, but it's definitely caused tensions to rise and maybe pushed people towards making those tough decisions because, again, we're all in a higher tension, higher stress mode the last quite a few months. I used to say several, it's more than that now. So if you're one of those people who is contemplating divorce, we're going to take some time today to talk about preparation. Making the decision to get divorced can be really overwhelming. It's a big decision, and no one should think that it's a light decision. Nobody should feel shame about it. I know that's easy for me to say. It's tougher to actually do, but we believe in making the process as smooth as possible for our clients here at MVL and want to share some of the tips that we provide to our clients in order to help you make that process a little bit smoother. Tip number one is seek professional help. There's no stigma to it anymore. I know that there might be in your smaller circles. You don't have to necessarily share with people that you think are going to judge you, but seeking professional help can really make a difference in getting your mind in the place that it needs to be and also getting kind of all your ducks in a row. One of the things that I've really been interested in during this pandemic, I have a lot more time to think, and I'm thinking about all those phrases that we use that I don't even know what they mean. Getting the ducks in a row. I guess I've seen ducks and they waddle in a straight line. But when it comes to seeking professional help, you want to talk to a therapist. I used to be one of those people that really kind of poo-pooed therapy, thinking that it wasn't necessary for me, that I was handling things pretty well in my life, not even realizing how much anxiety and trauma and things like that a therapist could help me with. And a therapist can really help you transition into your new life circumstances and also help you to keep from repeating negative patterns or behaviors in the future. They can serve as a neutral sounding board. And that's so important when you're talking about getting divorced and want some advice or want to just vent your emotions and your thoughts. Friends and family that you talk to are emotionally invested in you, and it's not always healthy to vent to them, or at least not primarily have them as your resource for venting, because they're going to be on your side. And there are situations in divorce where there's somebody that did something really, really bad, but the whole goal of what we're talking about today is to make the process as smooth as possible, which means that it's not as expensive, it doesn't take as long, all sorts of things that come into play there. Another professional person that you might be interested in seeking help from is talking to a lawyer. Lawyers are not as scary. Some of them are, I guess, but lawyers are not necessarily as scary as people like to think they are. They're not necessarily as expensive as people think that they are. A lawyer can really help explain your rights during the divorce process and also what the divorce process is here in Arkansas. If you have friends who are telling you things about, a divorce that they had 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or maybe in another state, that really is not necessarily applicable to your current situation in Arkansas. Lawyers can also really foresee issues that you may not have thought about, and they really should help you navigate your divorce in a way that promotes your interests, but also civility. Again, the dirtier you want to get, the more expensive that it's going to be, and the longer it's going to take in order to actually get divorced. We here at MVL offer 30-minute phone consultations for $20 for a general kind of overview about your divorce situation. But we also offer divorce coaching for $250, which includes an hour-long strategy call, and we can get more in depth about things that you need to work on, work up, and also helping you negotiate with your spouse to come to an agreement on kids, custody, child support, whatever it might need to be. So just kind of keep that in mind. But even if you don't talk to us, talk to an attorney and, try to get somebody on, that is explaining what the actual law is and knows what they're doing. I'm a big fan of going to people who are, do only this type of thing. And I am the attorney that handles family law here at MVL. And the only other thing I really do is estate planning, which is not, they're not counterproductive or anything like that. So I've had clients in the past their spouses have gone to like a criminal defense attorney to talk about their divorce. I would go to a criminal defense attorney for criminal defense and not necessarily, asking questions about the divorce process. We've also had people in the military who have talked to the free JAG officers that are on call. And we've had some really bad information shared about even just some basic things like serving the documents to your spouse. It's really important to talk to somebody who actually practices in family law and knows what they're talking about. Tip number 2, I'll get off my high horse with that, but tip number 2 is make lists. Lists are huge, and depending on your circumstances and what county you live in, you may have to have all of this information written down for the judge in a document that's called an affidavit of financial means. It's often only required when there's support involved, if there are children or spousal support, that kind of thing involved. But it's a good idea to make lists of things just in general. Make lists of your bank accounts, all the credit cards, any login information for joint accounts, all of your monthly bills, any kind of other account numbers like for 401ks, IRAs, that type of thing. Make a list of all the real property that both you and your spouse own, even if it's jointly held with family members. That's very important. Look at any bank loans or mortgage information that you have. Make sure you have all the information about that. Look at the home contents. If you're going to be splitting up, you're going to be, at least one person is going to be needing to furnish a whole separate house. So look at your home contents and kind of talk about who wants who's going to keep what, that kind of thing. Look at assets, and assets are going to be, all sorts of different things. But assets just kind of mean everything physical, including your money. So cars, your vehicles, we talked about your bank accounts already, any cash that you have on hand, all that stuff is along with your furniture and, any other type of thing like that. Those are assets. Look at homeowners and rental insurance policies, lease agreements, your real estate tax bill. Those are types of things that you need to kind of have in a list so that you know what's going on. And when we're talking about vehicles, look for policies. Who has the insurance on the car? Whose name is on that? If the car still has a loan, whose name is on the car loan? Because all that's going to come into play when you're talking about getting a divorce. If you have children, look at the children's after-school activities. If they're in childcare, what are those expenses and how often do they have to be paid? Look at other debts besides your house or your car. Look at other debts that you might owe and list those out. What joint creditors do you have? If both of your names are on the mortgage, then that's a joint creditor. If both of you have have taken out a personal loan, that's an important creditor. Your student loans, all that kind of stuff. Look at employer provided benefits for you and your spouse. That's where those 401ks come into play, retirement accounts, investment accounts, all that. Just make a list of everything you can possibly think of. And the affidavit of financial means document is actually available on the Arkansas court's website. So if you ever wanted to see kind of what that looks like, I think it's a 7-page document that helps you kind of get things in a usable format that you know what's going on and what you guys each have. Tip number 3 is gather documents. These can be important if the woman in a marriage had changed her name and wants to change it back, but also if you need to have the marriage certificate for any reason, if you have any premarital or other written agreements between you and your spouse on, what will happen in the event of a divorce. Gather all of your trust and estate documents. If you have a will, those types of things. Deeds, other property documents, vehicle title documents, tax returns for the past few years. yours and your spouse's W-2s and 1099s, whatever tax documents that you use to file. Copies of your last several pay stubs. That's going to be required if you are required to turn in that affidavit of financial means to the court. So copies of your last several pay stubs, health insurance policies, powers of attorney, business information. If you're a business owner, that's going to be very important when you're talking about getting a divorce. And really any other policies or documents that were executed during your marriage or that are important to splitting up assets when you're getting a divorce. So gather all those documents together. Tip number 4 is just kind of basic. We'll walk through some basic tips. Be sure and update your will and powers of attorney. You can't disinherit your spouse necessarily while you're still married, but you want to make sure that you're ready to amend that and go ahead and get things, prepared for when the divorce is actually final. Change life insurance beneficiary information. That's something that we can talk about in consultation or in representation, because sometimes that doesn't happen if you have minor children and you get along with your spouse, soon to be ex-spouse. You might want to keep them as the beneficiary, but you might not. Divorces don't automatically update that type of information. Same thing about if one spouse has the other spouse on their health insurance. Divorces don't automatically update that. You're going to need usually a copy of the decree in order to get that changed. Change contact information. If you were the one who's moving out of the marital home, change your contact information at your doctor's offices, school, work, whatever it might be. I always tell people, open up a new checking and savings account even before you get divorced. It's still marital assets. You can't hide money from the other person, but it's good to have that already started so that you have your paycheck maybe is going in there so that you have readily accessible money in order to pay for things, as opposed to having to pull things out of a joint account. Open a PO box maybe if you're not sure where you're going to live. That's maybe a good idea for you to start getting mail somewhere else, depending on, again, the relationship that you have with your spouse. You might need to get your mail somewhere else for a short period of time. Start looking for a new place to live if that's the situation that you find yourself in. These are just, it's kind of like with everything that we talk about as lawyers, it's not always a happy subject. People don't usually talk to the lawyers until they get in a situation that makes them need to talk to a professional. But it's important to have, your proverbial ducks in a row, excuse me, and get everything kind of settled so that you are doing the best that you can and getting ready for what you need. So thank you so much for joining us today. Apparently I have to cough again. Excuse me. Join us next week. Brooke will be here talking about business, small businesses, and something related to helping out small businesses in the legal world. And we appreciate your time and hope that you have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much.